Many, many greetings across the many worlds and many moons of the Star Wars universe. Welcome back to Only Fools and those who follow them. You're dressed very well over there, Sam, from the UK.
Well, I thought I'd start this episode as we mean to kind of go on, really. But I was struggling a bit with the latest toy.
Look, you and your toys, you're doing amazing with it. We've had some. We had a fun comment on our YouTube channel about somebody saying that their brother had that exact same toy you were showing off, that Clone Wars rifle the other day. So people are resonating with your toys, which is good.
It. Got all the gear and no idea. But yeah, no, I think it's pretty obvious who we're going to talk about today.
We're talking all things Maul/Darth Maul. Where is there a difference? Perhaps there's a difference. We'll get into it in this episode. I'm Alan from the US. This is my buddy Sam, and we love Star Wars. We love all things Star Wars, and we're excited to see people enjoying it along with us. So thanks for commenting on YouTube. Thanks for giving your likes and your subscribes. We appreciate all of that. Anything to say before we punch it?
I was just going to say, what's exciting about this week is we've got brand new Star Wars to talk about. So finally, we've got something new, some new content coming.
Yes, good call. We'll be showing the Maul trailer. We've not seen it. Well, I haven't seen it. Have you gone ahead and watched it?
I have a confession to make.
No, he's done it.
Because it was one of the ways that it was the only way, really, actually, that I could get the children into bed last night.
Okay, fair enough.
I used it as carrot to say, get into bed and we'll watch the trailer together.
All right. Well, he's got some background context. I have none. So we'll get both experiences. It's all good. I feel slightly betrayed, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm not going to hold it against you.
I'm just going to be looking forward to your reactions.
Good. I can't wait. I'm curious about the animation, if it's going to be the same as the Clone Wars and Bad Batch animation, or if they're going to do something different. I don't know. We'll see. But we got a lot to discuss, and we're excited, so let's get ready to punch it. If we were to take our hyperspace journey to find Maul, we'd find him on Dathomir, where he's first growing up. And he doesn't exactly have the nicest of childhoods growing up.
No, and I don't think it's sort of inherently that all Dathomirian warriors are bad people or evil beings just because of the fact that Maul came from there and
they have devil horns.
Yeah, and they have devil horns. And
it's not that on the nose.
It's not, yeah, well, it is quite, I suppose. But then later his brother is sort of recruited in a very similar way as I imagine Maul was, because basically they sort of run a gauntlet of rite of passage that they have to go through as sort of Knight brother warriors, don't they?
Yeah.
And then they kind of are sort of forged into sort of living weapons, if you like. But it was particularly, I think, more severe for Maul and his brother later, because they were obviously force sensitive and then, given further training, if you like, or torture.
Yeah. Training via torture mostly. Yeah, and it's the Dathomirians there's the Knight brothers and the Knight sisters. They're kind of these, similar to like what a Jedi would be, where they might be born with a higher attunement to the Force and ability to use it. And kind of the leader of that Dathomirian planet was this Mother Talzin character. And there's loads of her in Clone Wars. So if you haven't ventured too far into Clone Wars, if you check out our Linktree page, there's a viewing guide for all of Star Wars, but then also just for Clone Wars, if you just want to watch some specific Clone Wars arcs, those are laid out. We've gotten some really fun feedback from people who have used that in the past. So if you're not familiar with Mother Talzin or this Dathomir, check that out. There's loads of really, really cool episodes there. Mother Talzin is basically grooming people for the Emperor. They've got a bit of a behind the scenes deal going on, and they're basically torturing these Knight brothers to see who's the strongest and who can we ship over to keep our planet safe from this Emperor, which at the end of the day, we know that doesn't matter long term. The Emperor is going to do whatever the heck he wants to do. It's part of this ploy all along.
Emperors have a way of doing that, don't they?
Yeah, yes, they do. Yes, they do. So that all turns out, and then what we see is this lovely character here in Episode 1 of Phantom Menace.
Padme Amidala.
Yeah, we see Padme,
She's
a night
lovely.
sister,
She is
tortured.
And that's Jar Jar. I can see Jar Jar on the other side. He's also, well,
Yeah.
contentious. We'll do an episode on Jar Jar later.
Absolutely. And with the Build the Galaxy stuff that's come out, the animated series there.
Darth Jar Jar.
Yeah, so
exactly.
much good Jar Jar content. So
But
we
yeah,
see him when the
let's not go down that road today.
no, definitely not.
That's a whole a whole lot. That'll be a very long episode.
Yes, that's a whole Gungan hole to jump into.
Yeah.
But we see him with the double doors open. And I remember watching this movie. My mom took me out of school, out of 5th grade. And she said, yeah, well, you're not going to school that day. We're going to see Star Wars. And she even got heat from my teacher. My teacher called and left a message and said, I know you took your son out to watch Star Wars, and that's just not okay. My mom, who was a working lady, was like, no, I'm not okay with that. I'm taking my boy out. We're going to go watch Star Wars. So everybody's dressed in their Jedi cloaks, and they've got their single bladed lightsabers, and they're waving and waving. And we're going on with the film, and then the doors open, and that music hits, and Maul comes out, and you can feel the air kind of go sucked out. And he enters with this big old hilt, ignites one side.
See if I can do it. See if I can replicate it with the. If you're only listening, then this isn't going to have the same effect.
That's amazing. I didn't realize we had Ray Park on the episode today. That's brilliant. You've done it. And at that moment, the place just goes nuts. People are losing their brains. This idea of a double-edged lightsaber, not even existent before this point. So I feel like Darth Maul encapsulates the feel of the prequels for me as something. It's Star Wars for sure, but it's something brand new at the same time.
I think it was definitely considered amongst probably the entire Star Wars fandom. I would go this far that the introduction of Maul and the following lightsaber combat that we see in that sort of end of that movie was very much the highlight of that entire film. And it was one of the things that I think was ubiquitously a plus point for the fans. Everybody loved it. Everybody loved that. And I still think, for me, it's probably the best lightsaber combat sequence we've had in Star Wars to date. Still,
yeah, I think a lot of people would say the Obi-Wan Anakin duel, but I very much agree with you because the way it's intercut as well with other scenes, it leaves you in so much suspense. And the fact that song, Duel of the Fates, is so just unapologetically insanely good. It's an absolute masterpiece where I can listen to the song and I can visualize exactly which part of the duel they're in. That's craziness to be able to achieve that. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it's the best duel that we get in Star Wars, and for it to be with a new character that we're not familiar with, for it to be with Darth Maul, and who just totally captures our attention. Yeah, it's a brilliant way to enter this.
Don't get me wrong, like Anakin and Obi-Wan is iconic. That's an iconic scene, and again, props to Ewan and Hayden for doing all that work in learning choreography, and it had to be an epic battle.
Right.
But I just think with the expertise that Ray Park brought to the role, it just and the choreography in that sequence, with the fact that he had to take on 2 Jedi as well and make it look believable, but also stylistic, and you really lent into his ability as a martial artist. I haven't seen a more frenetic sequence that I thought was that really certainly got my juices flowing anyway.
Yeah. And you've got that background, not as a dark Sith Lord, but you're familiar with some of the martial arts. And when Ray Park goes to a convention, people show up who have these martial arts backgrounds because they're so impressed with how he integrated that into Star Wars and didn't make it feel cheesy, like, oh, here's this, strange samurai person, but brought an entirely new feel into Star Wars that people just bought into immediately. Yeah, Ray Park absolutely knocked it out of the park. You're welcome.
Absolutely knocked it out of the rain.
And that's why you're here on Only Fools and Those Who Follow Them. Well, another thing that's captured brilliantly that I think is an overarching theme of Maul is his overconfidence, and he's a very cocky person when we get to know him later on, and that's what leads to his what we see as his death in the moment, because he offs Qui-Gon, which we've talked about a little bit previously, which brings us no joy to discuss. So he is toying with Obi-Wan when he's in this shoot, and he's kind of doing his little, dark Sith Lord and starting to get cocky with it. And then he ends up getting chopped in half. So it's the first introduction we get to him being this slightly overconfident Force user that the Jedi tend not to be. So, maybe the Sith fatal flaw is this overconfidence. And he gets chopped in half and gets dumped into what we find out later is a trash chute, and he's just kind of left behind for nobody to find.
There's always a trash chute somewhere.
Always a trash chute. Luckily, there was no compactor here, because that would have been his ending.
No, but he did have a bit of an ordeal. Spoiler alert for those who've only seen the movies. He does survive for the fact that he's been chopped in half. But yeah, he survives, but it's pretty harsh existence that he falls into.
Yeah, it's not a yoga retreat where he rediscovers himself. He literally goes into a
Well, he
junk.
kind of does read.
I mean, he does.
I mean, he had to discover that he's only half a being,
Yeah.
and the other half of him is lying sort of further down. I've actually seen a deep fake, an AI generated live action version of what happens next, and it's quite brutal, but it's quite cool as well. At the same time, there's somebody's put it together whereby he's using the Force to kind of pull Flotsam and Jepson together to make up a set of spider legs.
Yeah.
And that's where he becomes known. What is it? The Spider of Lotho Minor, the planet or the area he was known to have inhabited after he kind of fixed his, or sort of rudimentary, work on his legs.
So he's down there for about 10 years, just really going crazy. The opposite of a yoga retreat. He's delving into madness, and he's being overly obsessed with Kenobi, with this guy.
What I really like about that, what we see in Clone Wars, is that also Dathomirians, if they leave them, their horns grow.
Right. Yeah. So there's a certain level of self-upkeep that Dathomirians have to do to keep those things chiseled. I wonder if it's the same with Ithorians, if they have to, maintain, or if they just stay short.
I just like the idea of they must have some sort of like a nail file, but for horns, and they just sort of in the evening when they're watching The Traitors, they're like just filing down the horns,
just a little chisel on the side. Yeah. Give it a nice point,
get it a bit sharp. Just kind of make sure that they're looking good. They're getting a bit long.
So I can imagine what his brother Savage is thinking when he finds him, because during this time Savage is looking for his brother, and so he goes to this Lotho Minor and discovers him and finds this half Maul on spider legs crawling around, who's gone kind of completely mad with long unshaven horns. So he finds him in complete disarray, almost hardly alive, really only alive because of his hate and his power in the Force. Not a good place to be. But he gets delivered back to Dathomir, and then Mother Talzin, who created this beast, is now in this position to kind of bring him back to his powers a little bit, and bring him back his sanity, and bring him some legs to bring him down from whatever 6-8 legs down to 2. And then once this happens, and he gets kind of re-imbibed with this Night Brother, Night Sister energy, then he kind of transforms into this new character, this Maul 2.0 maybe, where he's more rational, he's more methodical, he's thinking a bit more about how can I play the chess pieces instead of being the chess piece that's being played.
I do kind of want to just quickly touch on how controversial Lotho Minor is, because it does seem to me like we now know why Naboo's such a nice, lush, green place, because essentially they're taking all their trash from Naboo and dumping it on Lotho Minor. So poor old it's just a junk planet.
Yeah, what
takes all the trash.
What a microcosm of society, I guess. All the Theed elite upper class get to just throw all their trash into Lotho Minor.
But then you're right. Then he's sort of brought back to Dathomir, his home planet, if you like, and it's there that Mother Talzin works her magic.
Yeah.
And So from being Mr. Spider-Man, Spider Legs, because that's different universe. He's kind of made whole again. With new set of pins. He's given a new set of pins. And he's good to go.
And they're intense. He goes through he gets a remodel at some point. So there are kind of two different versions of his new legs. And the first ones are a little bit more spindly. And then later on they become like a lot more hefty and chunky and robust. But yeah, he does some damage in Clone Wars. If you want to see some really cool Star Wars content, check out the Maul arcs.
Oh, well, yeah. He's angry, right? He's out for revenge. We talked about this when we talked about Obi-Wan. Like, he's got that hate for Obi-Wan is proper strong at this point because the guy cut him in half.
Yeah, it's almost like when we see Anakin get cut in half and he yells out, "I hate you!" and we see that pure hate in his face. That's what we get with Maul, except he was cut in half. Now he's become whole and he has that level of hate and that level of dark side power. And so in Clone Wars, you get to see him just be completely unhinged and overpowering and slaying Jedi. It's dark in some spots for sure. Him and Savage just go absolutely bonkers.
They're a bit of a gruesome twosome. Yeah, they do get amongst it big time.
Yeah, because at this point they're kind of indiscriminately murdering people. They don't matter if it's Jedi, if it's Sith, if it's Separatist. It doesn't really matter. Kind of, they want to be building this criminal empire. They want to see the downfall of Sith and Jedi, and they're really these rogue Force users that are fed by the torture they went through as their own younglings, and how they've been thrown away and cast aside by their Sith masters and rebuilt by the Night Sisters, by Mother Talzin. So they're really these like lost with no home dark Force users that just want to see the world burn, and they do everything they can to make it burn.
Until the point where they get to a point where as brothers in arms, as actual brothers, they think, well, you know what, the Sith, they're, the rule of two, they sort of they get designs on becoming the two Sith to rule the galaxy, and they start to impose themselves and make moves that a certain gentleman Sheev doesn't take too well to.
Right, which is amazing to think that they got kind of close. Maul and Savage, they're building this shadow collective. They're taking these kind of underworld syndicates and organizing them. They're uniting Death Watch, Black Sun, the Pikes together. And in Clone Wars Season 5, we see them kind of in this full-on shadow collective form. And then he even goes to Mandalore and he wins the Darksaber from Pre Vizsla. So he's now taken over Mandalore. He's on top of it all. And then you saw in our Obi-Wan episode where he gets his first bit of revenge with Kenobi when he impales Satine with the Darksaber right in front of him. So he's like on cloud 9. He's getting all the wins. They're all stacking up. And then that's
when coming up Maul.
Yeah. Maul's feeling good. He's walking on sunshine. Yeah. But then that's when Sheev. He's got his nice. He's using his Darksaber.
Keep the horns trim, looking good.
Oh yeah.
How my holes looking.
He's feeling great. And then that's when Sheev, as you mentioned, kind of recognizes and says, "This could mess up my doings," because Maul and Savage have no idea of this empire building scheme. They just want to see the downfall of the Republic, see the downfall of the Sith, the downfall of the Jedi, let it all burn. Where Palpatine has much higher goals. He wants to build this empire, and Maul would certainly be in the way of that. So he immediately catches his taxi to Mandalore and shuts that shit down, basically. We have a clip to show. Anything to say before we show the clip?
No, I think you've expressed it all fairly eloquently.
All right, let's jump into it then. So this is after there's been some swashbuckling with Maul, Savage, and Palpatine, and we get some words are exchanged.
Remember, the first and only reality of the Sith. There can only be two, and you are no longer my apprentice. You have been replaced. Have mercy. Please, please. There is no mercy. Do not worry. I'm not going to kill you. I have other uses for you.
And in one scene, from the top to the bottom, it all gets pulled out from under him.
Yeah, and from then on, he goes through, again, sort of another period of brutal torture at the hands of his former master. So that's where the next thing that I remember picking up was a comic book series, Darth Maul, Son of Dathomir, which is a nice little 4-part run that kind of picks up straight off of the back of that, because I think the Clone Wars got cancelled around this time, or sort of finished for a while. And so there was some unfinished episodes or unwritten episodes, and the comic picks up on that. And it's epic, though. There's some massive battles in there based on Dathomir, and it depicts the. So, have you seen? Who am I talking to? Of course, you have. Tales of the Empire.
Yeah.
On Disney Plus. So that's another really good series to watch. That sort of, if you like Dathomir and the Dathomirian sort of worlds, that kicks off based on Dathomir and is sort of telling the story of Morgan Elsbeth, the character from The Mandalorian and the Ahsoka series. But it's based on Dathomir because that's where she grew up, and it shows the brutal massacre of the Night Sisters, essentially, by General Grievous and the forces of the Separatist Alliance. And it's during that period that it's immediately following what we've just seen, where Maul is sort of held in captivity and he's being purely tortured by Sidious, who obviously has designs for Maul to do more evil things, but on the behest of Sidious again. However, because of the work that Maul and his brother have done, as you've sort of already talked about, with uniting all of the underworld, the Black Suns, the other syndicates, and primarily the Mandalorians, the Death Watch guys, they managed to spring him from his captivity with Sidious. So they actually come and they stage a rescue and bring Maul back to Mandalore, where he kind of sits there to rule and lies in wait for Ahsoka at the end of Clone Wars Season 7. So when Clone Wars came back, Maul was right back where he needed to be, or where perhaps he was always originally supposed to end up being, sort of on top of the throne in Mandalore again.
Right. Which was a cool scene to see, because the animation, the jump in animation quality to Season 7 was insane. And so to see him there just kind of glistening in that new animation was a sight to see.
I think I told you before, I think I saw a video clip of that they brought Ray Park back to do the mocap for the fight scene with Ahsoka in Clone Wars Season 7. So, and that's a great, again, awesome piece of choreography that although it's it's an animated fight scene, it looks fantastic.
Yeah. And his goal there is, in the moment, he recognizes that Palpatine has shed him aside for this new apprentice, and that he's identified that the new apprentice is Anakin. So he's trying to elicit Ahsoka, hey, join me. You're no longer a Jedi. I can see what's about to happen. Anakin is going to become this new apprentice and be the downfall of everything. Like, hey, give me a hand and let's kill them, and you and I will take over. We'll be the new two, more or less.
Yeah, because in the clip we just seen, he says you've been replaced, but of course originally he's replaced by Dooku.
Mhm.
So Dooku is the person who's kind of replaced him at that point, and is the one that actually holds him in captivity, for Sidious. But then, yeah, as you say, later, obviously Dooku's out of the picture. Anakin is the new apprentice, and Maul, with his network of spies and I guess just general deep connection, perhaps maybe there's a sort of still a connection between him and his former master, that he somehow knows
Mm.
what the trajectory is and what's happening with Anakin. He's much more connected to it than even Ahsoka is. Ahsoka doesn't see it until Maul starts to point it out,
Mhm.
and then she gets kind of vibes, I think. But yeah, it kind of vibes that things are not okay with Anakin wherever he is. But she's got her job to do, which is kind of at least topple Maul from his throne on Mandalore, which, with the help of the Republic forces, she manages to do.
Yeah.
He gets locked up again. He gets locked up in some sort of big black coffin, if I remember rightly.
There's a lot of him just getting locked up again and again and again and again. So he escapes all of this happening, the Republic forces coming to Mandalore and all that, and he kind of goes back into the shadows. And this is where Maul 2.0, thinking more clearly and a bit more intellectually present than previous Maul, decides, all right, I'm going to just try to redo this whole Shadow Collective thing. And then he creates a new syndicate with Crimson Dawn. And that's where we see at the very, very end of Solo, this amazing Ray Park being Maul. And alluding to that, he's the head of this kind of secret underworld collective that's been pulling some of the string.
One of the kind of top 5 criminal syndicates that then has some longevity, and then he's kind of the secret kind of puppet master that's been running that sort of syndicate from afar. But yeah, we find out sort of right at the end of Solo that it's been him all along. It was Maul all along. So Maul all along, and then of course, if you've played the Star Wars Outlaws game, you'll be well aware that you get to see and interact a fair bit with Crimson Dawn Syndicate and their guys. Their leader is Kira, who is Han Solo's early love interest, as we see in Solo. And yeah, she's kind of running Crimson Dawn. She's kind of like the MD, whereas Maul's the CEO at the top, or the kind of main shareholder, but she's the MD who's kind of runs the business day to day.
Yeah, she's the boots on the ground.
Yeah,
but also for those who are wondering, like, can Kira really be that high up? And with Dryden Voss, like, could she really manage to be that powerful with that much influence? The moment you see her with Maul, you're like, oh, she's a bad lady. She's got it going on.
But she's obviously done some very bad things to even get to be sort of Dryden Voss's, PA.
Yeah.
So she's done some pretty. I think she kind of alludes to it with in Solo, where she kind of has that. They have that scene together where she kind of says, "You're just too honorable, too good at heart for me," essentially, and which is why it wouldn't work out. And so she makes that choice that she's not going to run off with Han Solo.
Yeah. She's
into the sunset.
Yeah. Into the Crimson Dawn, if you will.
Yeah. She's going to stick with the Crimson Dawn, which I presume, the crimson part comes from the redness of the skin, of the Maul skin.
Exactly. I think he's finally comfortable enough to own it and just say, I'm the leader of this. I'm putting all my chips into this basket, and we're going to ride this as far as it goes.
Come up with a brilliant new product for Lucasfilm. They should create a moleskin diaries. They should make a moleskin diary.
Oh my goodness! Okay, we got to cut that part so nobody steals that intellectual property. That is brilliant. With the new show dropping too.
Yeah, exactly.
There can be horns on top of it.
There's no one at Lucasfilm has thought of that one.
You're welcome, Lucasfilm.
If you have, you're welcome. You can
we know
have
you're
that
listening.
one.
We know you're listening.
Yeah. Just send me a moleskin.
Yeah. That's all we want in return.
Just send me one when they come out.
Yeah. So during this time, Crimson Dawn, he's still trying to undo from afar what Palpatine is doing. He's kind of got these equal bits of hate. He's got hate for the Emperor, he's got hate for Kenobi, he's still filled with hate, but he's trying to still be methodical about it.
So angry. He's
very
just,
angry.
He's just fuming.
Yeah. But instead of simply relying on his physical fortitude, because he's also getting older, time is passing here, and he's getting older, he realizes, knowledge is power, and he's going to try to study up. And that's where he ends up going to Malachor, and he's looking for this Sith holocron to match his Jedi holocron to be able to do something that's pretty cool. So this is where Maul bridges into Rebels, and we see him engaging with Ezra Bridger. And so he tried to recruit Ahsoka with his kind of overt power, didn't work. Now with Ezra, he's playing more of this frail old, it's always hermits, a lot of hermits in Star Wars. Obi-Wan, Yoda, Maul turns into a hermit. So he's this old frail man with a cane, and he's got his hood up. And you can see it's Maul. You can see his face patterns. You can see his horns. Still well filed. So that Crimson Dawn money is still there for, keep his horns looking good.
I'm telling you, it's like it's like brushing your teeth.
Yeah, you got to floss between the horns. Get that horn gingivitis out of there.
Yeah.
So he's trying to create this kind of super weapon by combining the Jedi and these Sith holocrons, but he needs Ezra to help him with that. And that's where I think the coolest part of Maul's story is unfolding, because he gets this vision through the holocron, and he sees clearly where his arch nemesis is, and he sees Kenobi, and he sees him on Tatooine, and in that moment he drops every other desire that he has of, the downfall of Palpatine, of having any sort of galactic power. And he's like, it's go time. I need to take him out.
That whole two suns piece when Ezra's kind of saying, I saw a planet with two suns. That was so much fun to watch that with my kids, because I was trying to drop hints. They weren't getting the hints at all. I was like, okay, two suns. And I think
I didn't either when I first watched it.
Yeah, I think one of my kids was thinking sons as in children, as in two boys, and I was like, no, two sons, two sons, and they were just not getting it at all. And I was like, what planet has two suns?
Yeah, come on, guys, let's go.
And then eventually the penny dropped. Tatooine. Yeah, all roads lead back to Tatooine, don't
they do.
There isn't a more pivotal planet in Star Wars. At some point we're going to have to do a planet
for sure.
We're doing characters at the moment, but we're going to have to do some planet deep dives, and
yeah, definitely
Tatooine would probably be the one that takes about 7 episodes.
Yeah, it'll have to be an anthology, I think, for Tatooine. We haven't mentioned yet, and you don't have to, because they are synonymous. They're the same being. Maul is voiced and acted by Sam Witwer. And Sam Witwer, for what he's done for Star Wars in bringing this character that was just sliced in half and left to rot to being one of these main pillars in Disney Star Wars content, Sam Witwer just is an unreal voice actor. And so thinking of that scene where he's like, twin sons, you're so enthralled by his performance. It's just something I'm very proud to see Star Wars do, to stick with a character like that, and to stick with a voice actor like that, and to give him as much screen time as they do, and to now have this upcoming series. I think we're given a treat whenever Sam Witwer is on screen.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, it's pure marketing opportunity, right? He was the shining light in Phantom Menace, and I think everyone was like, "Oh, I can't believe you killed him off. He was the best thing."
Right.
And they just were like, "Right, we got to find a way to bring him back." And I think that's testament to the to the intelligence behind the scenes. And and George was like, "Okay, we're gonna have to bring him back now. Let's get him back."
Yeah,
the fans want more. We're making an absolute killing on these toys.
Yes, that one in particular.
So plenty of he's a great Star Wars kind of talisman, if you like. He's one of the big bads that always comes back. I mean, if you think about the original Tridge, it was the characters like Boba Fett, that all those bad guys that you didn't really get too much backstory on were the ones that were always the most popular when I was a kid growing up. It was Boba Fett. It was all the sort of menagerie of Jabba's palace, the bounty
Yeah,
hunters.
the bounty hunters that Vader is dealing with.
Yeah, exactly, and more fit into that category from the moment the Phantom Menace released, in my view. That and in a way, it was kind of cool that he didn't survive. Like certainly the way that he was dispatched was pretty full on. But yeah, I think just the sheer popularity of the character is what brought him back. And then, as you say, it's from then on, it's the performances by people like Sam Witwer that kind of really cemented and deepened the emotional complexity of the character. And now we have this full sort of arc, and a little bit like with how we were talking about Obi-Wan, that now we've got like we had a whole kind of life to talk about. I feel like we've got the same with Maul pretty much now. With when you look at the movies, the Clone Wars, some of the comic stuff, and then obviously now he's getting his very own series, which kind of probably starts taking us up towards our current state of the galaxy.
Yeah.
But should we finish sort of his tale? Because the Twin Suns, we got that far where we're sort of reaching the twilight of his existence, his actual life.
I think it makes sense to finish it because while it's finishing his arc, there's more to come with this new TV series. We've referenced it a few times. May I say the best 3-second duel I've seen?
Yeah. So I want to say, like I said, that the Phantom Menace is still the best, choreographed lightsaber fight scene in all of Star Wars history. I think what we're about to see is probably the best 3 seconds or 30 seconds of lightsaber combat in history. Or, like even, I'd put this on a par just because of I don't think it's what anybody expected. And I'm all for subversion of expectations.
Totally agree. And that's what I think I'd mentioned earlier. I think Maul was the first character and the most pronounced character to continually give us the subverted expectations. I mean, obviously Rian Johnson had a field day in episode 8, but as far as a character goes, that's a pivotal character. I don't think anybody subverts their expectations more than Maul throughout his continuous arc.
But I want to give a shout out to Dave Filoni on this one, because I think just how this was done so epically well. And it just,
poetic.
It's just great. Let's just let the scene speak for itself.
I've come to kill you, but perhaps it's worse to leave you here, festering in your squalor.
If you define yourself by your power to take life, a desire to dominate, to possess, then you have nothing.
And what do you have? Why come to this place? Not simply to hide. Oh, you have a purpose here. Perhaps you are protecting something. No, protecting someone. Tell me, is it the chosen one? He is. He will avenge us.
it's
Every time I
just-
watch it's brilliant.
it's brilliant. Just every little detail
Yeah.
in that sequence is just fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's, as you said before when we talked about the Obi-Wan, like he does the Obi-Wan kind of classic pose, then he switches to the Qui-Gon pose, and then kind of like a samurai thing, and then it's 3 kind of strikes, and then boom, it's just
Yeah.
pure efficiency. And then cradling him in the same way that he cradled Qui-Gon and Satine, and then what I love about that is that final line delivered by Sam Witwer, he will avenge us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like at that moment, like, because Maul has already shown like how intuitive he is. Like we were talking about with how he kind of has an awareness that Anakin is going to be the one that is the new apprentice.
Yeah.
And we don't really know how. So it just shows that maybe that's kind of like, because each Force user has their own sort of special, slightly innate ability, don't they? Like, Ezra is very good at sort of communicating with other beings, with animals, and get a bit more of this in the video game, the series, the Jedi Survivor series. And with Cal Kestis, he's very good at sort of gleaning memories from objects and
psychometry.
Yeah, exactly. So Maul's obviously very intuitive. He's very able to kind of tap into people's thoughts and feelings and kind of extract information. I guess that kind of is probably what a lot of what his early career, if you like, for Sidious was all about doing, was sort of staying under the radar and kind of pulling all the information alongside being an assassin. So he's just a pure expert at getting that from people. And then it's just the way that, that line, just the way that he delivers that. And it's sort of that moment of realization that they've all been suffering, that they're all suffering, and that it's not been fun for any of them. And that basically their lives have been pretty much not what they would have really wanted for themselves. And he kind of understands that at the moment of his death and sort of says, maybe this kid who you're protecting is going to be the one that kind of does make life better for people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Maul ain't going to be there to see it.
Wasn't around to see it, no.
And neither is Obi-Wan.
No, not at all. But they've been living in that world for so long of being tortured in their own ways. Obi-Wan with the fall of Anakin, and Maul with his entire life and being a tool used by everybody that he's come in contact with. They just want to see the fall of the Emperor, the fall of the dark side. That's at that point their only mission. And for Maul to have this sense of empathy in the moment of, hey, as long as we're both avenged, I'm okay with what just happened. And I love
there's a sort of brotherhood in that moment, isn't there?
Yeah, because they've taken very similar paths, really. And they're, I love how when Maul first shows up to Obi-Wan's little campfire where he's making s'mores, Obi-Wan leans into his traditional negotiator role, and he's still at the very end trying to show Maul that there's another way. You don't need to lead with your hate. We're not too dissimilar, you and I. Like, just let's let it go. Let's let bygones be bygones. He's still trying to talk him off the cliff.
And we're old.
Let's
just sit here.
Yeah.
And
let's have a drink together, or let's have a spatchka. It's going to be fine. But the moment, and we'd mentioned this in our Obi-Wan
marshmallow on your horn.
Yeah. We mentioned this in our Obi-Wan episode, that the moment Luke is threatened because Maul says, maybe you're protecting something, and the moment he says, or protecting someone, Obi-Wan's eyes go like this, and he ignites his lightsaber. And again, he becomes the enforcer as opposed to the negotiator, much like he does in the cantina when he's lopping off arms. He's deciding, I have to play a new role to protect this youngling. I've done it before. I'll do it now, and I'll have to do it again. And I'm going to take. He doesn't take the first swing, but
I will do what I must.
Yeah. But he initiates everything. So there are frame by frame breakdowns of that fight scene, online, and they're fun to watch. But it was artfully done, and makes me so excited to see what's going to come next with the Maul series.
Yes, indeed, and that's why we felt like today, of all days, we had to talk more. And I'm sure that we will do a more revisited episode once we've seen the entirety of Maul Shadow Lord, which is coming out on April 6th.
Is the one.
I think. Yeah, I want to say.
Let's take a peek. Let's swing it over to our current State of the Galaxy. Before we jump into the Maul preview, we did have somebody left a comment about your Clone Wars rifle. They said that their brother had the exact same rifle, and it just brought back immediate memories to them of them both playing with it together. So we appreciate folks reaching out, chatting with us, mentioning their previous experiences with this, and that is at whodatbo92. Appreciate you for reaching out and chatting with us there.
Thanks, bro.
In our description, we've got the link to our link tree. You can send us an email. You can leave a voice message. There's loads of ways you can reach out, and we'll keep building the community, and we'll engage with you here on this podcast. Do we do it? Do we swing it over to the trailer?
I think we got to swing it over.
I can't wait.
I am so excited to see your reaction to this.
More Maul. I'm just over the moon. Lay it on me.
Times have changed. I will show you the galaxy for what it truly is. See things from a new perspective.
Is this what our future holds? Always running.
I invite you to look more closely.
What are we dealing with?
Good question. And I offer you an opportunity.
Maul.
We have all been made to suffer. We survive, but do not live. The Emperor wants you dead. Chains can be broken.
Hang on!
And empires can be shattered.
Stop it. Stop it. That absolutely bonkers.
There's just so much in there. We always need to do another episode right now.
Yeah, I got to be on for another hour. So, first of all, the animation is insane. Absolutely insane. And the detail they've given to his face and his expressions is awesome. Because he is such a cerebral character, too. And to be able to see it on his animated face is amazing.
One thing I want to say as well is that obviously one thing we didn't talk about was the variety and range of lightsabers that Maul has had through his journey as well. That the amount of play that they've done with his lightsaber is probably more so than any other character. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and to see that they brought him back to the double-edged blade, brilliant idea. It's building off of exactly what we were just saying. His desire is to bring down this empire, to see it fail. He's got this hate for Kenobi. He's got this hate for the Empire. He'll do whatever it takes to take him down. So presumably he's, grooming another Jedi who are now on the run after Order 66. And we'll be soliciting their help to take it down.
And we see some early Inquisitorius as well, where he's obviously, he's the Emperor. It's even mentioned that the Emperor wants him out of the picture, basically. He's a menace. A phantom one, if you will.
Well done.
But he's a menace, and it continues to be a menace for both sides, essentially, because he's only out for himself and fulfilling his own kind of desire for revenge, as you say, against anyone that's done him wrong at any point in his life. He's just a very bitter person.
He's got a lot. He's got a lot of vengeance inside of him.
He's got a lot to be bitter about.
Yes, he does. He hasn't had the easiest life at all. Certainly not.
timeline-wise, this looks like it's bridging the gap between... So I'm thinking sort of Fallen Order time period, isn't it? With sort of
Right.
early Empire leading up to Rebels.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going to put this timeline-wise. Because he's still quite... he's not at the age of Malachor yet.
He's not frail old man at this point.
No.
Yeah.
So he's probably about my age.
There you go. Perfect. He's still young and
Middle-aged.
he's still young and sprightly and full of martial arts aptitude.
Thank you. Thanks for reminding me.
I got your back. That's what we are on Only Fools. We pump each other up. So we appreciate all of you pumping us up with your views and your likes and your subscribes and comments. It's very fun. We're not interested in being this overwhelming power in the Star Wars universe, but we do love just hearing your connections to Star Wars and to what we're talking about, and would love to see you continue to be a part of the show. So you can leave a comment and we'll see it there. You can email us at onlystarwarsfools@gmail.com. You can send us a voice message at...
Oh, is it me?
You got this.
Oh, I forgot it. SpeakPipe /
No, he's bugging it up again. Speakpipe.com/onlyfools. By episode 48. I think he'll be there. So drop a note and you can curse out Sam of his continuous attempts to say it correctly. But we appreciate you listening, whether you're in the core worlds, the mid-rim, or the outer rim. Stay classy and stay foolish.
And remember, the fools will be with you, always.
If you liked what you heard here today, don't forget to tell some more fools. Remember, who's the more foolish? The fool or the fool who follows him? Like and subscribe. Always.